Welcome to With Anna, 7 Ghost. Tonight's story is not just something to listen to, it's something to feel. So turn off the lights, stay quiet, and don't forget, some stories feel real for a reason. Now let's begin. My name is Daniel, and if you are hearing this right now, it means I made it out of something I should never have entered. But what I saw there is still following me. And before anything else, let me ask you something. Have you ever stepped into a place that felt like it was breathing around you? Like the walls were aware of you? Like you were not the visitor, but the thing being watched? The road became narrower, the trees grew closer together, and the GPS lost signal completely. Maria tried to joke about it, but even her laugh sounded nervous. And then we saw it in the distance, a massive abandoned hospital standing alone in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by fog like it was hiding from the world. We should have kept driving. But something about it pulled us in, like a silent invitation that was not spoken out loud, but placed directly inside our minds as we parked near the entrance. The air felt heavier, colder, and the building looked too large for something abandoned, too intact for something empty like it was waiting. The main doors were slightly open even though there was no wind. And when we stepped inside, the sound of the outside world disappeared completely. No birds, no cars, no wind, just silence that felt unnatural. The smell hit us first, old disinfectant mixed with something metallic and rotten. Like the building had never forgotten what happened inside it. Maria held my hand tighter and whispered that we should leave. But that was before we heard the first sound. A distant intercom crackling to life, somewhere deep inside the hospital. A voice came through it, calm and slow, saying, "Welcome back." We froze, because we knew we had never been there before. We moved forward anyway, step by step through long corridors lined with broken lights that flickered even though there was no power source visible anywhere. And every few seconds, we heard footsteps above us, even though the floors above looked collapsed. Room signs still hung on the walls: emergency, surgery, isolation. But the further we went, the more the numbers stopped making sense, repeating in patterns that felt wrong, like the building was counting something. Then we found the reception area, and behind the desk was a computer screen glowing softly, even though everything else was dead. A single file was open with our names on it, Daniel and Maria. Arrival time listed as today, departure time listed as never. Maria stepped back and accidentally knocked a pen off the desk, and the moment it hit the floor, every light in the hospital turned on at once. That was when we realized the building was not abandoned at all. From the hallway behind us, we heard a door open slowly, followed by dragging sounds, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. And then a voice, close, too close, saying patients should not wander. We ran deeper into the hospital, trying to find another exit. But every corridor we entered led us back to the same reception area. Like the building was folding itself around us, Maria started crying quietly, saying we should have never stopped. And then I saw something I still cannot explain. A reflection in a window where there was no one standing. Except in the reflection, I was already alone. I turned around and Maria was still there, but something about her expression changed, like she was listening to something I could not hear. And then she whispered that someone was calling her name from the basement. We should not have followed that voice, but we did. The stairs leading down were wet even though there was no water source, and every step we took sounded like it was answered by another step below us. The basement corridor was darker than anything I have ever seen, and yet there were lights down there, faint surgical lights coming from behind half-open doors. Inside one of the rooms we found medical records scattered everywhere, but all of them had the same date, the day the hospital officially closed decades ago. Then we saw a patient bed still warm like someone had just been lying there. Maria suddenly stopped moving and said she saw a man standing at the end of the hall, but when I looked there was nothing, until the lights flickered and I saw him too, tall, motionless, wearing a nurse uniform that looked too old to still exist, his face partially covered by shadow, and he was holding something that looked like a clipboard. He spoke without moving closer, saying, "We are glad you returned." Maria grabbed my arm and told me we had to leave right now. But the hallway behind us was gone, replaced by another wall of doors we had never seen before. That is when the intercom turned on again, and this time it said patient Daniel is awake. I felt something cold inside my chest because I had never been a patient anywhere in my life. Maria started shaking and said she remembered something, flashes of being in this place before, being treated, being watched, but she could not explain how. The lights started blinking faster, and every blink showed a different version of the hospital, sometimes clean, sometimes burned, sometimes full of people staring at us without blinking. Then we heard screaming from behind one of the doors, and Maria ran toward it before I could stop her. When I opened the door behind her, she was gone, just gone, and the room was empty except for a single chair facing a mirror. In the mirror, I saw her sitting in the chair, but she was not alone. There were other figures behind her, standing too still, too silent, all looking directly at me through the reflection. The mirror started writing words slowly on its surface, saying she is staying. I backed away, but the hospital changed again. Corridors shifting like they were alive, guiding me somewhere deeper, somewhere I did not want to go. Eventually, I reached a room filled with old patient files, and in every file, there was only one repeated note never discharged. And then I found a video monitor playing footage of us entering the hospital. But in the footage, there were more of us than I remembered, extra shadows walking behind us, sometimes even touching us. A voice behind me whispered that the hospital does not take visitors, it takes replacements. I ran. I ran until my lungs burned, until I found an exit door and pushed through it into the cold morning air. The hospital was gone, just an empty field surrounded by fog. I thought it was over until I checked my phone and found a recording I never made, showing me inside the hospital, still walking through the corridors alone, calling Maria's name. But the voice answering me was not hers. I went back to the nearest town and asked about the hospital, and an old man told me it burned down over 40 years ago, and no one survived inside it. But that was not the end, because every night now I hear footsteps in my apartment hallway, slow, patient, stopping right outside my bedroom door. And sometimes, when I look at mirrors, I see Maria standing behind me, even though I am alone. So if you ever find yourself driving through Western Europe and you see a hospital standing where nothing should be, do not stop. And if you already stopped, do not go inside. And one last thing before I end this. This channel is called With Anna 7. If you survived this story, subscribe right now, because the next one might be about you. And tell me in the comments, if you heard footsteps outside your door at night, would you look or would you pretend you never heard them?